our lineup will be different. A few new players will come into the team. That's what Arne Slot recently said, and it's got everyone talking. We just secured our 20th league title in pretty comfortable fashion. So naturally, you'd think there's no real need for major changes next season, right? After all, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But in football, that old rule doesn't always apply. Things can flip fast, and as it stands, it looks like Slot is aware of his side's need for evolution. That's why Liverpool could end up looking almost unrecognisable by the time next season kicks off. From big tactical tweaks to key players possibly leaving, some serious changes are coming. So before we dive into it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, it helps us a lot. Now, let's talk about why Liverpool might look completely different next season. If you've been following us since last summer, you'll remember we talked about the kind of changes Arne Slot could bring to the club. One big thing we predicted was a slower, more methodical style of play. But did that actually happen the way we expected? Not exactly. Let us break it down. Slot has shifted Liverpool from Klopp's high-pressing 4-3-3 to a more structured 4-2-3-1 formation. Whether it was Gravenberch sitting as the lone pivot, or McAllister dropping in beside him, the goal was clear. Control possession and build up play in a more measured way, instead of relying on the intense pressing and rapid transitions that defined Klopp's era. But that doesn't mean we suddenly turned into peak Barcelona or Man City with the ball. What actually happened was more balanced. We started picking the right moments to launch direct balls, which meant we kept our threat on the counter. And that worked brilliantly. We currently lead the league in goals from counter-attacks with 15, and it's brought the best out of players like Diaz, Szoboszlai, and of course Salah. So yes, Slot made changes, but they were subtle. Still, in modern football, even small shifts can make a big difference. If you don't evolve, others will catch up fast. Just look at what's happened to Manchester City this season. That's why we believe Slot will take it a step further next season, doubling down on that calm, patient build-up approach. It will be a high-risk, high-reward style of play, with the team looking to hold on to possession even under pressure. The idea will be to draw teams in, create space behind them, and still hit hard with our deadly transitional play. But for this slower, smarter system to really work, we'll need some serious reinforcements in the summer transfer window. And that brings us to the potential new faces we might see at Anfield. First off, the left-back position is definitely a priority. We all know Andy Robertson isn't getting any younger. He's been a massive part of our success, both this season and throughout his career, but it's time to start planning for what comes next. There were a few games this season where Robbo was clearly targeted as a weak spot, either used as a pressing trigger or exposed with direct long balls. Just think back to that Saka goal we conceded against Arsenal, and you'll see exactly what we mean. So, who should we go for in this position? The obvious name that keeps coming up is Milos Kerkez from Bournemouth. Reports have linked him to us several times now, and it's no surprise why. At just 21, he's already shown huge potential, and Slot reportedly sees him as an ideal fit for our system. Kerkez is composed on the ball and handles pressure well, which could really help improve our ball retention down the left side. But he's not just good in possession, he presses aggressively off the ball and has the athleticism to match it. You can count on him to make those underlapping and overlapping runs that stretch the backline or pin centre-backs, which in turn creates more room for our wingers to operate. Now, another area that might not look like it needs strengthening but actually does is centre-back. Sure, Van Dijk and Konate are likely to remain our first choice pairing, but let's be honest, Ibu has had his struggles with injuries. And even though Van Dijk recently signed a new deal, it's time we start thinking seriously about his long-term replacement. There's also something a bit overlooked. Every single one of our current centre-back options is right-footed. That might not sound like a big deal, but it can limit our build-up play from the back. When you don't have a natural left-footed option, your passing angles get restricted, and that affects how comfortably you can play out under pressure. So what we need is a centre-back who's not just physically solid, but also technically sharp, and crucially comfortable using both feet. And right now, there's probably no better example than Dean Huijsen. This guy's as two-footed as they come, and at just 19, he's already being tipped as one of the top defensive prospects in Europe. He's calm on the ball, fearless in possession, and he loves to carry it forward, something that would instantly boost our build-up play and give us more control in games. And the timing lines up perfectly. By the time Van Dijk eventually steps aside, Huijsen could be fully developed and ready to take the torch. So yeah, it's starting to look like we might have to raid Bournemouth and Juventus this summer. And of course, we can't talk about changing or improving our style without bringing up the need for a new defensive midfielder. We need someone who can not only rotate with Gravenberch, but also bring something different to the table. Ideally, this player should be able to control the tempo from deep, drop into the backline, or drift wide to link with the fullbacks, and have the passing range to break lines and play over the press. The only issue? Our top target for that role won't come cheap. Yep, we're talking about Adam Wharton. He's the perfect fit for what Slot wants to build. Wharton is incredibly press resistant, sharp in duels, and reads the game like a seasoned pro. The way he scans the pitch constantly, literally like an owl, makes him tough to dispossess, and gives him the vision to pick out runners and deliver pinpoint long balls. Now, as much as we'd love to land Wharton, he won't be easy or cheap to get. So who would you go for if that deal doesn't happen? Stuttgart's Angelo Stiller, maybe? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Now let's move further up the pitch. With Darwin Núñez's future still a bit up in the air, we could also be looking for a new striker this summer. And there are two pretty similar players that we think the club might target. One name that's already been mentioned is Alexander Isak from Newcastle. He's a class player, but prying him away won't be easy. Newcastle will definitely fight to keep him. Another option is Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt. He's also a big talent and would probably cost around 80 million euros. Now, to be clear, there's no guarantee that either of these players will actually end up at Anfield, but their profiles, those are exactly what we need. To take this team forward and truly evolve under Slot, we need attackers like these who bring intelligence, flexibility, and finishing quality to the front line. Now, of course, we can't talk about new signings without mentioning possible departures. We already brought up Darwin Núñez earlier, but he might not be the only forward on his way out. Diogo Jota is another player whose future seems uncertain. Injuries have definitely affected his consistency, and Liverpool could be open to selling him if the right offer comes in. There's reported interest from clubs in Saudi Arabia, and apparently the club has set his price at around 50 to 55 million euros. Is that a bit ambitious? Maybe. But in this market, who knows? Then there's Tchouaméni Kelleher. Our reliable backup keeper has stepped up when needed. But at this point, he'll likely be looking for regular first-team football. With Georgi Mamardashvili reportedly on the way in, and Alisson still locked in as our undisputed number one, Kelleher's chances will be limited. A move away seems more and more likely, and that could also help bring in extra funds. Harvey Elliott is another name being mentioned. Despite his versatility, strong work rate, and real impact off the bench, even without fully earning Slot's trust, he's also being linked with a potential exit. And it doesn't stop there. Wataru Endo, Kostas Tsimikas, even Joe Gomez and Jarell Quansah could find themselves on the list of possible departures this summer. All of this points to one thing: a major reshaping of the squad. The goal is clear: build on the success of this past season while preparing for the new challenges ahead. One way or another, Liverpool could look very different next season. A big summer is coming for Liverpool, and it's not just about a few tweaks here and there. It could be a full-on transformation and our biggest rebuild in a while, if you want to call it that. From changes in tactics to key signings and possible departures, this team might look very different next season. The big question is, are we ready for it? And, more importantly, are these changes going to take us forward? Or could they disrupt the momentum we've built? What do you guys think? Do you agree with the players we mentioned as targets? Would you take the risk on someone like Dean Huijsen, or go for a more experienced option? And if Wharton doesn't happen, who else fits that deep midfield role? Also, let us know your thoughts on the potential exits. Would you sell Jota, Kelleher, or even Elliott if a good offer came in? Or do you think we should hold on to them for depth? Drop your answers in the comments, we read them all and love hearing your takes. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you in the next one.